G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Bonsai Works. I'm David. What we've got, obviously I'm always promoting this until the show happens, but Bonsai Northwest Melbourne has our upcoming exhibition, May 14 and 15, 2022 at Footscray Community Arts Centre in Melbourne. So if you're in Melbourne, Victoria, come along and see one of the best shows you'll see in Australia. It's really awesome to see the trees, plus lots of stuff for sale. So I'm always there. I'm the president of the club, so I'll always be there the whole weekend. So come on down and say hello. Yeah, I'll be in the sales area. So hopefully, guys, you can come along and have a look. Okay. Now today, ta-da! We have today a juniper, probably procumbrans or prostrata. I'm not sure which one. Probably the prostrata. This belongs to a client of mine who has been trying to get this tree to me for the last year, but due to lockdowns wasn't able to get to me. But this is typical what happens to procumbrans or prostrata junipers. They get this browning effect. It gets a lot of brown in there inside the foliage. Lots of little brown dead bits. Now the tree hasn't been repotted in quite some time. It's in a like a plastic terracotta pot that I've just put it up in a bucket just so it can sit in. It's not in a bonsai pot. Tilts the tree forward, you can see all the brown bits. Typically happens. Could be to do with that fungus it gets, which I usually spray with pest oil. You can get from Bunnings to take care of that usually. It's done well on my other prostrata juniper and it looks much better. But the good news is all the tips are nice and healthy, which is good. The inside bits are starting to brown. Well, that's what happens when you let all the tips grow and don't do anything about the inside and trimming it back, cutting it back. Well, this tree was dropped off to me just to have a look at and restyle and produce something of interest. It has a really long, nice. It's a prostrate. I think prostrate meaning low. I think prostrate means low hanging or ground covering. Horizontalis, that kind of stuff. But it's got a very low, nice, long cascade branch. Got another one here, so it's definitely lending itself to be some sort of cascading tree, which would be interesting to create. Probably need to bend it, put lots of wire, twist it around, things like that. Try to create an apex. There's not much else really to do with this tree. Other styles that I can see clearly. It's got a really nice size base trunk up here, which I'll try and zoom in so you can see. Not too bad there, but there's not much else. There's not really anything straight up. I don't want to be pulling these up. It's just, it'll probably break, snap them. So definitely lending itself to a cascade or semi-cascade style. But first things first, the painful job of cleaning up all this foliage and really having a look at the tree. This hurts my hands because prostrata junipers, procumbrans, the dead needles are they're like needle pricks. They're really sharp. So it really pains me to do this next step, but I have to do it. I'm not going to cut back too much on this tree. I'm going to try and use a lot of contorting the branches, really twisting them in to really, I think, develop this tree. I don't want to be cutting off huge amounts of foliage. I want to try and use the back forward, really constricting the branches to create some interest. Because it is a nice twisty tree, twisty trunk. We just have to look at it. But first things first, as I said, the painful part, getting all the dead foliage off, cleaning up all the branches, cleaning up all the insides, cleaning up underneath, crotch growth, you name it. It's got to be done. Probably a couple of hours work in there just to do that before I can start to wire. I think designing the tree is going to be pretty straightforward. Not a huge amount of wire, not a huge amount of wiring. Pretty consistent, but yeah, we've got to get started. So that's the first step. Okay, so you can start to see things are happening. You can start to see you've cleaned up a lot of the foliage. Now pretty much is left with nice green foliage mostly. A few bits of brown things here and there. I have started to wire. At least these two, I've got two branches that are cascading down. One's a bit longer than the other, but I think it'll look nice. I've seen a very similar. There are different levels and things like that, which I'll get it right. My main issue was trying to deal with the apex. Now, what happened was I didn't have really a branch in the apex up here. So what I've had to, unfortunately, these branches, you probably can't see, these ones are right in your eye. they're actually, these two branches are nice and healthy, but they go in the up direction, and I can't really use them because they're in the front of the tree. So that's not going to help me build an apex. But what helped me was, I'll move this aside, and I'll try and zoom in. But you can see now there's a branch here, that I've taken from the back. I've wired it around and created a branch over here, and we can use this as the apex. So creating the crown of the tree from a branch at the back. I've done this many times in other trees, and it really works really well. There really wasn't any other option because these ones are really in the front, and I'm going to have to remove them anyway. So just so you can see how clear it will be, I'm going to remove them now with you guys. I'm going to leave a bit of a stub so you see how much of a gin I can create. So we'll see what it looks like. So with those gone, there you go. You can now start to see the cascading nature of the tree. I'll just tilt it a little bit forward, maybe help you guys see. See, now you can see the trunk line. You can see this will be gin. You can see hopefully these apex will start to come into shape. Why some of these little sub branches will be a small apex, but it'll build up over time. I'll keep worrying all these out, and we'll have a nice little cascade. I think looks pretty positive, pretty interesting. Get the tree healthy as well, very important. Okay, so that's just a quick update. I'll just continue to wire the tree, and if I find something interesting, I'll call it out again. So here's where we ended up. It isn't too bad for where it started off. It was pretty sparse, if you know what I mean. Like, it had a lot of issues, but now it's actually looking much nicer. Very much a cascading, semi-cascade possibly, but cascading style. You'll see a lot of areas that are still a bit sparse. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do without the foliage there. We did the best we could. I did the best I could with this tree. So it's a lovely, nice cascading branch. You can see that it looks pretty good from that angle, how it cascades down and flows down. But again, you can see the health of the tree in terms of sparseness of foliage. We'll just have to take time to get that looking better and better. So the top looks pretty good too. It's all working towards moving around to the front. Unfortunately, there's I had to do a bit of a twist to try and create an apex. It's a bit sparse in there too, but with time these areas will fill out, and I shouldn't have any problems. But overall, it's not too bad for getting this tree to a stage where it can actually look good in the future. So again, nice little cascading branch. Just got to get the tree healthy, feed it. Ideally, I'd like to get this in a pot for the client. However, I've done a lot of work on it. I have reduced a lot of foliage. It is autumn and we've got quite mild at the moment, so it could possibly go in a pot. I just don't have anything at the moment, a cascade style pot, like a nice tall cascade thickish pot for it. I'm going to have to hunt around and see if I can find any, maybe at Garden World or something like that. Might have some, but yeah, looking for that kind of pot. But looks much better from what it was before. At least it's on the right track now and going in the right direction. Hope the client will enjoy it. I think personally, if it was my tree and I like to go to the extreme, I would have cut off this large cascading branch and just had a small cascading branch, just this one. I'm not sure if you can see that. I would have cut this big one that's hanging all the way down into here, and left this small one. So that's ultimately what I would have done. Everything I would have left that one only. Personally, let's see if the client likes that idea, but that's what I would have done without being too extreme, if it was my tree. But with it being a client tree, I don't like to reduce too much, or I don't want to scare them off as you do. So there you go, guys. Much improved. At least it's in the right direction now, going the right way, and we should have hopefully see this tree again in the future and see how it develops. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.